Finally, new WATA pop reports are here. A brand new update just happened where they introduced a ton of new consoles, including a bunch of modern like GameCube, Xbox 360, Wii U, as well as a bunch of new vintage pop reports like Atari 2600, 5800, Coleco and Television, and Sega Master System. The amount of new games added to the pop report almost doubled the entire number of games on the pop report. Slowly but surely, we will have every single console with their population reports published. This video is going to focus on the modern stuff that just released, as well as some of the overall numbers that now exist with all of the data on the pop report. Thank you to every single Patreon member who helps support the channel, as well as the YouTube members. I can't do it without you guys. Hit a like button to help. It takes me a ton of time to go through this data, and let's talk about it. So on the August 1st pop report, we were looking at almost 40,000 games. Now, with the advent of all these new consoles, as well as new submissions to the old consoles, we're up to 76,000 sealed games on the pop report. That is pretty insane. So this is now the overall box grade distribution with the new data set, every game combined. Landing in the 9.2 to 9.4 range actually does happen 39% of the time, and 38% of all games graded now are in 9.6, 9.8, or 10. That is pretty crazy, and yes, a lot of that is due to how high pop reports swing for the modern stuff. The effects of modern also did up the average seal grade. You can see the difference here on the August 1st pop report, where getting an A to an A++ happened 86% of the time, where now getting an A to A++ is almost 89% of the time. B+ and below is now almost the bottom 10% of every single item submitted. So at this point in time, if you have something like a 9.8 B+, you are in the top 13% of all graded boxes, but you are also almost in the bottom 10% of all graded seals, which is a little bit weird and a little bit funny, and that's why I like grabbing this overall data. And with modern, it's going to be very interesting to see if we do keep seeing large amounts of volume being submitted, because so far the numbers on modern actually aren't that small. And maybe that sounds obvious to you because there's a ton of modern out there, so of course the numbers on the pop report are going to be large, but you also have to remember that a lot of those modern games aren't exactly worth sending. So even if there is a ton of supply out there, it's not necessarily that we're going to see a ton of population count on the WATA pop report. And I know I've made this warning before with the pop report videos, but please do not look at the numbers on the pop report at this time and think, wow, this only has a pop 37, that means this is a rare game. A lot of the stuff submitted right now is stuff that is only worth being submitted, stuff that had hype, stuff that was popular, stuff you could sell. So all of these pop reports are going to be skewed in that direction. And even rare games are going to be overrepresented on these pop reports because a lot of the rare games have notoriety or value behind them. So do not FOMO into stuff that looks low pop right now. So with all that said, let's look at some of the numbers on the modern pop reports, starting with the seal grade breakdowns across the modern consoles, all down here, as well as the consoles that I had ran it for previously, like NES, Super Nintendo, N64, PS1, Sega Genesis. Again, with modern specifically, this shouldn't come as a surprise that A+ seal grade is becoming very, very prevalent with these newer consoles. The lowest percentage we see of A+ seal grades across the 6 new modern consoles we got is 45%, with the highest distribution of A+ being Wii U, where we see 69.72%. With the vintage consoles, it ranges from 36 to 46% of A+ distribution. And for a lot of the modern consoles, it's simply that the A grade and below happens less, so A+ and above happen more. There are extreme outliers that do exist though. On N64, for instance, we still see 25% of them get an A++ seal grade. That is absolutely insane and is even higher than Wii U's current distribution of 19.84%. And when we see super high A++ distribution, that does have a lot to do with case pack games being submitted, of which N64 has a lot of them. Gauntlet Legends and Perfect Dark being 2 examples of that. Also a huge outlier with A++ distribution is on GameCube and Xbox. GameCube games only have 5.6% of all of them with an A++. Original Xbox only has 4.31%. Now, I don't know the specific reason as to why GameCube and Xbox have absolutely pitiful A++ rate, but wow, that was surprising to see. On the other modern consoles, Wii currently hits at 11.5%, PS2 hits at 21.5%, and Xbox 360 hits at 14.2%. PS2 also does fall into the realm of N64 though, because as you guys know, Grand Theft Auto Trilogy. So between GTA 3 San Andreas Andreas and Vice City, there's almost 1,400 A++ copies. So if you just remove 1,000 of those even, the actual distribution of A++ drops down to around 12%, which puts it in line with Wii as well as Xbox 360, which makes a lot more sense than PS2 being some kind of miracle console that can always hit A++. So again, just echoing what I said earlier, if you're going after these DVD case games, these modern systems, you really do not want a B+ seal grade unless the item is so rare that you literally can't get it in any other condition without breaking the bank. But if you can feasibly afford it, if it is just a little bit more money, always be searching for an A seal rating at absolute minimum. And as you see with every single one of these modern pop reports so far, A+ is the most common seal grade being handed out. If you get below A+ on any of these modern consoles, you are already in the bottom 50% of seal grades. So that was all about the seal grades. Now let's talk about the box grades. So starting with PS2, we're looking at a weighted average across all grades of 9.5. Which means that if you have a PS2 game that is 9.4A, you have a below average condition game. And this is a point that I've been trying to say a lot with Modern, as this is fully the reality that I was expecting would show with the WATA grade reports. And I don't say this stuff just to be negative, like I love collecting this stuff. I have some of those numbers in my collection too because it's a lot more affordable to do so. So don't feel like you can't buy 9.0, 9.2, 9.4, A seal grade, B+. Just be extremely mindful of the price you are paying for a WATA graded game in one of those grades. Might it be much cheaper for you to just go to eBay and buy one yourself? Odds are you're probably going to hit one of these average grades anyway. So with PS2 as well here, if we look at box grades from 9.0 up to 10.0, that encompasses 97% of every graded PS2 game. Now trust me, I expected this number to be high. I did not think it was going to be 97%. This data basically implies that 1, every PS2 game out there that is found in factory sealed condition is in pretty damn good condition and it's kind of really hard to damage them. Or number 2, the way that WATA grades hard case DVD style games isn't really allowing for nuanced condition across the minor types of defects that these games may get. So instead of a really granular scale where maybe we take the existing 9.2s and those are actually 8.0s so that the 9.2, the 9.4 only allow for very small defects, instead of that happening, we get a lot of bunching at the high grade levels. You also don't want the grading company to just create false scarcity by being overtly tough, so I do kind of get the distribution of the grades. I assume the truth is somewhere in the middle of those two reasons. If you look down here at the most submitted games, you can see just how many of those were sent in. San Andreas has almost 900 copies on the pop report, making it the single most submitted game out of every pop report we have now. GTA San Andreas, almost 900 copies across all variants. And if we go to another chart here, which has the actual grade plus seal where they get distributed, you can see the most common PS2 grades to find, with 9.6A+ happening the most, followed by 9.8A+, 9.6A++, 9.4A+, 9.4A, and 9.8A++. If we go over to GameCube, a system where we don't have floods of a game like GTA Trilogy coming in, the most graded GameCube game right now is just Wind Waker with 185 copies. So I think we can consider GameCube a more normal distribution type of console. And if we come over here, the weighted average does go down by 0.1. Instead of 9.5 on PS2, it is 9.4 on GameCube. So it's a little bit worse of condition. But if we look at 9.0 and above, it still is 96% of all submissions, but we do lose a lot of the 9.8 distribution, and instead we see it in the 9.2, 9.4 distribution. That's what happens when you don't have massive floods of case fresh games. And if we go over to the most common grades to see on GameCube, 9.6A+ is still ahead of every single other grade in the 9.0 or above. 9.4A+, 9.6A, and 9.4A are also very common to see on GameCube. And like I said at the start, GameCube has a massive outlier here with absolutely no A++ distribution. So if you have a guess as to why that is, why is no GameCube getting A++ when submitted to WATA? I would love to hear reasons and rationale as to why that might be happening, because I genuinely don't understand why it would be this much lower than every other console on the pop reports. And same goes for original Xbox, which is even lower. If we look at Wii U, which I would consider the most modern collector console that is currently on the pop reports, keep in mind Switch is going to look even more skewed toward the high end. But if we look at Wii U right now, which is absolutely dominated by Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild on Wii U alone makes up about a third of the pop report, which is absolutely insane. 678 copies have been sent. The next most common game is Wind Waker HD at 133. But again, on this report here, 95% is above 9.0. 9.6 is by far your most common grade to see. And if we go over to where it hits again, the most common, 9.6 A+, 9.4 A+, with 9.8 A++ and 9.6 A++ having quite a few examples. And this is also a huge thing as we get into these more modern collector consoles. If you want something special, if you want something that stands out, if you're trying to invest, if you're doing any of that, you absolutely want an A++ seal grade. A+ on Wii U happens 70% of the time. If you actually want to start differentiating the games that you're grading or going after something special, Wii U, Switch, PS5, Xbox One, if anyone submits Xbox One games, you're really gonna want an A++ seal grade. Also with Wii U, we only have 1,751 games on the current pop report. So this goes to what I was saying about games being rare or not rare, or games being worth submitting. A lot of games on Wii U simply aren't worth submitting. This chart here shows every Wii U game that has over 50 copies submitted. Currently, there are 9 games that had over 50 submissions, and of course, here at number 9 is Devil's Third, one of the most sought after, rarest Wii U games. It is my thought that Breath of the Wild here at 678 already is a more telling indication of how much sealed supply is out there versus what actually shows on this pop report. To put it another way, if Smash Bros. For Wii U or New Super Luigi U, Super Mario 3D World, if any of those games or any random Wii U game, if suddenly tomorrow the price on any of those games were to go up by $1,000, I think WATA would immediately get flooded with copies of any of these games on Wii U, to be honest, outside of the actual rare, extremely niche examples. So looking at Wind Waker HD at 133, I do think in 2 years, 3 years, maybe it'll take 5 years, but the population on all of these is going to go up a lot. Like I said, do not FOMO into modern stuff based on these pop reports. You don't have to, there's still time, there's still supply. Original Xbox, Wii, Xbox 360, it all tells the same story. Your optimal grade right now that you really want to try and achieve is 9.6 A+. Of course, it's going to be game by game. Some games it's going to be extremely hard to get a 9.6 A+. Original Xbox, which people only think Halo and Halo 2 are worth submitting apparently, it's not going to be easy to get a 9.6 A+ on those premium titles. I fully get it. But if you happen to be chasing after something that's a lot more affordable, a lot less coveted, make your goal 9.6 A+. Make your acceptable threshold 9.4 A+. You might have to buy a couple copies off of eBay, but based on how WATA does their grading, you're probably gonna hit on at least 9.4 A+ if you go out and do it yourself. I will do more videos on the pop reports. Make sure to leave in the description any of your thoughts on any of this. I know there's a ton of data. It's taking me a ton of time to go through it all too. Let me know anything that you think is interesting on the reports. Hit the like button, subscribe if you like the content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.